We are back. It is another edition of Colts Corner with myself, Kevin Bowen. As always, Eddie Garrison is across the way. 1 month from, I should say 4 weeks from today is probably the more accurate way to put it. It will be report day at Grand Park for Colts training camp, and it's about to begin in earnest. So today's pod will focus on a spring 53-man roster projection. Nothing says egg on your face like trying to do that in mid-June, late June, whatever we're in, but nonetheless, we'll give an effort at it today. A couple Twitter questions. Again, just a reminder, we'll probably only have, maybe 2 or 3 pods between now and training camp before, obviously, it gets back into our season cadence. Eddie, good morning to you.
77 days from today, Kevin.
That's the regular season opener?
Yes, 77 days.
September 7th against the Dolphins. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. 4 weeks from Tuesday, man. It's crazy.
Sorry, 75. I can't count.
75, 77.
Yeah, once we get past the fingers and toes, I lose track sometimes.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. So, again, we'll go kind of position by position through this. I saw Anthony Richardson, I guess, before we get into anything, just had a slight update from, he's doing, camp tour. That's the popular time of year, 247 Sports, the Florida Gators site. Had an update where, Richardson, I think, really downplayed his current situation, having to miss time in the spring. And I think he didn't even, the analogy he maybe used was, I don't call it I fell down, I call it I tripped. Mm-hmm. Just kind of something along those lines. I get that the magnitude of him having to just sit out and rest is not like, as bad as it sounds, it's not Tyrese Halliburton having to recover from a torn Achilles, but the reality is he did just miss 7 of 9 days of work. And teamwork, practice, offense, defense, 11 on 11, while Daniel Jones got those starting reps. That is the part that I just can't gloss over. So I understand that, again, the severity of, hey, he doesn't need another surgery. It's not like he's going to be out 4 to 5 months. Yeah, I understand all of that. But I'd argue there's no player in the NFL that needs the reps more than him. And he just missed precious reps here in the spring. So unless you got anything to add on that, Eddie, I'm good to dive into a little 53-man roster action.
Did I see a report, by the way, over the weekend about, I think it was The Athletic, saying that right now Daniel Jones is on the fast track to be the QB1, which is no shocker breaking news at all, right?
Yeah, I guess I maybe missed that level of report. I don't know if I would even define that as a report. I guess that you could listen to our podcast, and I'm sure I've said, Daniel Jones to me will be the week 1 starter. I don't know how else I could say it to garner a report. I believe that Daniel Jones will be the week 1 starter. We'll see if that changes, but as of right now, if you ask me on June 24th, things can change. But right now, I would say he's your week 1 starter.
All right, this is all available, 1075thefan.com. Kevin, I know we typically start with quarterback and work our way down to specialists, but how about we start with specialists and work our way to quarterbacks this time?
Oh, boy, that's a galaxy brain. Okay, well, I guess the specialists offer a little bit of debate, right?
Yeah, slightly.
I have Spencer Schrader winning the kicking battle here and obviously joining Rigoberto Sanchez and Luke Rhodes, once again, the 53-man roster. I have an article coming up. I think it'll be Wednesday. I'll post on 1075thefan.com. I really enjoyed Brian Mason, the Colts special teams coordinator. He got super deep into basically what they're looking for in a kicker at the NFL level. And if you notice, Schrader and Maddox Trujillo, who is competing with Spencer to be the kicker, neither of them had illustrious college careers. Neither of them had great percentages necessarily in college, but it's just a little bit of an explanation on why they feel like the type of mold those guys are cut out of, big leg, probably being the most physical, obvious attribute, and then a little bit more the mental makeup, why they think they are built to be a long-term NFL kicker. So I will go with Schrader over Trujillo here. But yeah, that article will be up on 1075 The Fan.
Moving on to the next position group, safeties. Obviously, they make the addition of Ken Bynum. Nick Cross is still there. And I think people still forget about Daniel Scott simply because he hasn't played a game yet. He's had 2 horrific injuries since the Colts drafted him. Rodney Thomas, and then who else? What about Hunter Wohler? Is he a safety or a linebacker? What about you, KB?
Yeah, I am probably most uncertain about the depth here and probably the linebacker, but definitely here. I went with Scott and Thomas. I mean, Eddie, they love Daniel Scott as much as you love having Skyline chili tonight at the Reds game.
Well,
will you have some tonight at the Reds game?
I will not.
Okay. What is your ballpark meal of choice?
Well, it depends on temperature largely. Like with it being baking out there today, I'll probably just go with a hot dog.
Okay. Ice cream?
I will throw back a couple, or not. Well, I get it. I'm not going to say a couple, but I will throw back some ice cream. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Tuesday nights at Great American Ballpark, they have a sweet special, KB. It's $3, like for the small cans of beers, $2 hot dogs, $1 ice cream.
That is excellent.
It is.
I need to dabble in that. Have a great time tonight.
I'll try.
Down there. So, Chris Ballard loves Daniel Scott as much as you love that Tuesday menu there. So, I'll go with him. But again, I mean, he missed time in the spring. Again, I think Hunter Wohler's got a great shot. I know I said this when he was drafted, but like for a 7th-round pick, you could not walk into a better depth chart situation. And I don't know, Trey Washington, the undrafted kid out of Ole Miss, maybe he, squeeze. It's not like do you view Rodney Thomas as a slam dunk? No. People talk about Rodney Thomas being a cap casualty guy. So, very uncertain depth here at safety, but I kept 4: Bynum, Cross, Scott, and Thomas. Very light pencil on the last 2.
And this is where I think we start getting a little bit of a debate for you, Kevin, just in terms of who makes the roster out of the cornerbacks, just because they did do some investing in that category or in that position group this offseason. So here are the 10 that the Colts currently have. Corey Ballantyne, Juju Brents, Jonathan Edwards, Alex Johnson, Jalen Jones, David Long Jr., Kenny Moore II, Justin Wally, Javarius Ward, and Samuel Womack III.
Yeah, so I kept 6 here. I kept Brents, Jones, and then I think probably the 3 guys that maybe impressed the most in the spring, or at least they're notable, and that would be Kenny Moore, Justin Wally, the rookie, and Charvarius Ward. Samuel Womack, I also kept him. I thought he did a nice job last season. I know the bar wasn't super high for him necessarily, and he was asked to play probably a bigger role than maybe he would have thought or the Colts would have hoped for. But I thought he did good work. So Ballantyne was somewhat of a notable free agent signing compared to maybe the lighter class the Colts had this season, particularly on defense. So he would maybe be a notable cut. And David Long Jr. at times was asked to play a little bit of a role late last season. So those would be the 2 here. But honestly, I feel relatively, comfortable about it, with these 6 names. So 6 corners, 4 safeties. I'm good with that.
Moving on to linebacker. This is a very weak position group. The Colts have 9 right now. You have them rolling with 5. Also, I was surprised Corey Ballantyne didn't make your final cut of quarter. Is he a special teamer?
Yeah, but are you keeping Ballantyne and cutting Womack? Is that what you would do here?
That would probably have to be the move, right?
Yeah. Again.
Unless you go with 1 less linebacker, because you've got 5. Maybe they go with 4.
Boy, 4 just seems light. I think the kickoff has turned into more of a physical play and less than a speed play. So yeah. I think linebackers help you out on kickoff a little bit more than, maybe you just get the fast dudes out there. So linebacker, I think Jalen Carline and Zaire Franklin are obvious. John Batchey, who came over from the Bengals this offseason, Lou Anarumo obviously has history in him. He has plenty of special teams background, and he got a ton. Him and Cam Ragone got a ton of starting reps in the spring. So I'll put both of them on there, and Shaguna Luby has always kind of been, a next man up and a special teamer. So those are the 5. Liam Anderson, undrafted a couple years ago out of Villanova. I think he would be a one that I would look at a little bit. But, in years past, Eddie, the linebacker position has been so easy. You knew it as soon as the previous season ended, what the cut down was going to be. I don't feel that way about the group at all. Obviously, Franklin and Carlisle would be your top 2. And I think McGrone and Batchey would kind of have a leg up, if you will. But, how many you keep and who you keep. 4, again, it just sounds so light. But you know what? In today's NFL, with how Anarumo looks at it, it's not the most absurd thought you've ever had.
No. But it just
Which
doesn't,
sounded like a backhanded compliment. I didn't mean it like that. You are a very smart dude.
just doesn't seem like Anarumo has a priority of linebackers in his defensive scheme.
No, to continue our baseball food analogy, he prioritizes linebackers as much as people prioritize a salad at a baseball game.
Moving on, this will be the final defensive position group with the defensive line. We know Chris Ballard loves his D lineman and his O lineman. Kevin, 16 on the roster right now. You have them trimming that down to 9. I won't go through all the names, but I'll highlight some outside of the obvious. Aditamiwa Adabare, Devontae Davis, Neville Gallimore, Eric Johnson II, Isaiah Land, Desmond Little, Kwity Paye, Tim Smith, and JT Tuimoloau.
So
I just wanted to throw that last one in there to practice.
yeah, no, that was very well done here. I'm a number short here. I just know I am. I just know how Chris Ballard operates. You know, if you keep an extra end, I'd probably say Isaiah Land. If you keep an extra big dude, I'd say Tim Smith, the 6th-round pick out of Bama. I did cut him. They love Gallimore in the free agent edition. And I guess Aditamiwa would be my other defensive tackle.
Yeah, yep. You had him going with Tommy, Buckner, Ebukam, Gallimore, Latu, Lewis, Paye, Stewart, and Tuimoloau.
So, yeah, again, if you add an edge, Land, if you add another big body, I guess Tim Smith. Cutting a 6th-round pick's not the most alarming thing. I think last year they cut, maybe it was the year before, they cut like a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. So,
didn't they cut a corner?
Yeah, what was his
now he's
name? Not
Rush.
I was going to say Micah Abraham. Rush was a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And they cut the other corner, too. Kid from Auburn, Simpson. Jalen Simpson there. So,
yeah.
Again, I've got 9 here. I guess you keep 10, and then where do you pinch? Do you only keep 5 corners? Do you only keep, 4 linebackers to go back to that position group? Ballard loves it. He loves it. He loves defensive linemen. I would make another baseball food analogy, but I just need to stop and move on here and let it die. So I got 9, but I could easily see 10.
Moving to the offensive side of the football, starting up front with the offensive linemen, almost an identical number in terms of players that are on the roster right now that are offensive linemen, but the number in terms of the 53-man roster for the position group is the same as the defensive linemen. Kevin, you've got them going with 9. The 15 they currently have: Tanner Bornolini, Marshall Forner, Blake Freeland, Wesley French, Matt Gonzalez, Quentin Nelson, Danny Pinter, Bernard Ryman, Josh Sills, Braden Smith, Luke Tenuta, Jalen Travis, Dalton Tucker, Mose Vavau, and Jack Wilson, and I'm hoping I'm saying that one right.
Yeah, again, I have 9 here, and the acknowledgement is, am I a number short? Now, I would say it's easier to incorporate 9 defensive linemen than it is 9 offensive linemen, and, who can you move to the practice squad? So, obviously, I have the 5 starters, which to me would be Braden Smith, Matt Gonzalez, Quentin Nelson, Bernard Ryman, and then either Tanner Bortolini or Danny Pinter. My backups, Josh Sills at guard, and then out at tackle, I've got Jalen Travis and Blake Freeland. Wesley French and Dalton Tucker are 2 names I thought about. By the way, it's Chris Ballard's birthday today.
Oh, really?
There you go. Happy birthday to Chris Ballard.
Only fitting we're talking about the hog mollies up front.
Sure. I might. Should I fire? Are you a birthday texter? Should I fire off a birthday text?
If I remember, yeah.
You are?
If I remember it's your birthday, then yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm kind of in the same boat there. I used to be pretty religious about it, but then I got off Facebook, really. If I get to 10, Dalton Tucker, Dalton Tucker started 7 games last year. So, would he be the one to go there? Wesley French, do you keep both Freeland and Travis? It looked like Travis was doing some position flex in the spring. I thought he was doing a little bit of left tackle as well as right. That is obviously a key swing tackle is always a vital piece to your roster, even though it's not a obvious starter. So, again, trenches on Chris Ballard's birthday, it's probably appalling that I only kept 9 offensive linemen and 9 defensive linemen. I could easily see him wanting to keep one more.
You're talking about positions where there could be a cut. Maybe this is one, Kevin. Maybe instead of 4, they go with 3 tight ends. Right now they have Mo Alley Cox, Will Mallory, Sean McCown, Drew Ogletree, Albert O, Tyler Warren, and Jelani Woods.
Yeah, I cut Jelani Woods. I guess that's notable. I kept Allie Cox, Mallory, Ogletree, and Warren. Yeah, I mean, to your point, Eddie, could you cut one more?
Would it be Mallory?
Probably, but I think they like him. And I think I'm still a little curious about him.
Could they get him on a practice squad?
Right. No, that's a good point. What was he, a 5th rounder? Yeah, probably. So for me, it's obviously very difficult to keep 5 tight ends, and you can make the argument it's slightly difficult to keep 4. So those are the 4 I went with, but that is definitely one to keep an eye on.
The other pass catching group, wide receivers, by the way, before we get into the numbers, Kevin, A.D. Mitchell, how do you look physique-wise? I know a lot of times, like players after the rookie year, they come back either stronger or more lean, or was he more or less the same as his rookie year?
Yeah, I've always thought he's a pretty good-looking athlete, so I guess I didn't observe anything too drastic. One thing that's so impressive about him is just his body control. His ability to create separation, and then you just kind of make an attempt at it when the ball is kind of in that general vicinity. He can be a pretty smooth operator, and I thought he was super consistent this spring. Again, the 5 practices we watched, I would say when he was targeted, because remember last year it wasn't just drops. It was, no, dude, you're not in the right place.
Yeah.
I thought for the most part he was very much both, not dropping it and in the right place throughout the spring.
All right, I'm going to try this name right off the bat. Ajao?
Sure. You could have told me anything. I would have believed you.
Josh Downs, Ashton Doolin, Anthony Gold, Tyler Common, A.D. Mitchell, J.D. Montgomery, Coleman Owen, Landon Parker, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., Blaine Taylor, and Laquan Treadwell are the receivers under contract right now.
This seems relatively straightforward to me. I kept 6.
Downs, Doolin, Gold, Mitchell, Pierce, and Pittman.
Right. Now, Doolin and Gould would be the back-end guys. Gould, again, I think he's your punt returner. Getting a chance to, re-establish himself there. And then, we know what they think of Doolin on special teams. Plus, if a big injury occurs, Doolin would kind of be next man up after those top 4 guys. So, yeah, I don't really have too much debate. They got a ton of undrafted guys in here. I think they have 4 undrafted wideouts, which is a big number. Not something you typically see, especially at a position that I don't think has a lot of open roster action. But, yeah, I kept those 6.
2 position groups left. Running back. The 6 the Colts currently have, Savon Ahmed, Ulysses Bentley. You don't see too many Ulysses anymore.
No. Presidents, yes, but no.
Even still, it's been a while for one of those.
Sure.
DJ Giddens, Tyler Goodson, Khalil Herbert, and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, to me, I look at it and view it as 4. Goodson is the question mark. DJ Giddens is a lock. Khalil Herbert, I think, is a lock. Are you keeping a 4th running back without a role as a return man? I think that is a bit of a luxury. Now, that's how Goodson is, though, right now. Like, I don't view him as a returner. So I think that is something that you have to keep an eye on. If you're pinching, is this a spot that you do pinch? Obviously, you would have a 4th running back on your practice squad, but right now I will keep 4, but this could be, hey, drop this to 3 and bump defensive line to, 10.
And finally, the quarterback position. Jason Bean, Daniel Jones, Riley Leonard, Anthony Richardson. Who do you have making the roster?
So I am going to go with, again, in quotes here, I'm going to go with 3. And, that would obviously include Richardson, Jones, and Leonard. Now, you can play around with this a little bit here. Could you sneak Leonard to the practice squad? Is he in that Sam Ehlinger kind of dressing as a 3rd quarterback role? And then, we obviously saw Desmond Ridder come and go. What happens a month from today? Do we see any roster moves with that veteran quarterback? Do you need an extra arm in there if Richardson's going to miss any time? So, this is one to watch, certainly. And again, quarterback has been, I think, relatively straightforward, especially with Sam Ehlinger's presence on the roster. Is there a Leonard Jason Bean battle? I don't know if I saw that quite. Leonard seemed to take the pretty consistent second-team reps in the spring once Richardson went down. But that would be something to keep an eye on as well.
So training camp will start July the 22nd, and then roster cuts will happen on August the 26th, or by August the 26th, I should say.
Yeah, and it's just one big one, right? The NFL's adopted that?
Yeah.
So those would be the dates to keep an eye on. But yeah, report day the 22nd. I would assume their first practice the 23rd. I think Shane Steichen said he doesn't want to have the early day off like they did last year. So I would guess they practice, pretty consistently through that first week.
Are you ready for the 2 Twitter questions that we have?
I am ready.
We will start with Jamie. JT and AP, that being Jonathan Taylor and Alec Pierce, have similar stats in 2025 as they did in 2024. Alec Pierce, due to a big payday, would you cut JT to keep Alec Pierce?
Eddie, would you have traded Alec Pierce for a second-round pick in this past draft?
I'd have to go back and look. I've already forgotten about the draft.
Pierce is he's such a interesting player because he has this specialist of all special traits.
Would you get a second-round pick for him?
Do it again?
Would you get a second-round pick for him?
I think the Colts potentially had to weigh that trade offer. So that's why I ask you. Now, that one trade he has is just so damn special.
Right.
And in a league where you're trying to create big plays, he mossed probably 2 or 3 dudes back in the spring. Now that I'm thinking back to the 5 practices that we watch, he is due, I would say, a notable payday coming up next offseason. And, the thing about it is you drafted A.D. Mitchell last year in the second round. And just purely off of, hey, second round wideout. Hey, second round wideout. One walks out the door, the other one ascends. That's kind of logical, passing of the baton. We've gotten into a lot of these debates before. Ryan Kelly to Tanner Bortolini, for example. On paper, that would seem to be, hey, you let Pierce walk and then Mitchell grows into that role. Granted, Mitchell's not the same player. He has strengths in other areas, but he's not the same player as deep ball home run hitter. Would I cut Taylor to keep Pierce? I mean, I've always said this about Taylor. I do think he has the ability to be a little bit more primey late into his 20s than other running backs.
But he's also been one that has started to raise a little concern.
I know. No, it's a great point you bring up. And I am very high on DJ Giddens. Really high on DJ Giddens. So this is one that I think is a really good offseason question from Jamie. I don't think I would do it, but I don't probably need much convincing, honestly. But again, at wideout, it's like, well, theoretically, couldn't you just say, hey, and look, you might have some other decisions to make. You might say, hey, Pittman, will you let Pittman go?
Yeah.
And re-sign Pierce? Is Mitchell more Pittman or is Mitchell more Pierce? Mitchell's probably more Pittman, right?
I don't know. Well, yeah, I think he's somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it, but I think he's closer to Pittman than he is to Pierce.
Yeah.
If we're really, really getting into the weeds.
Yeah.
With this. But I think, I guess to summarize all, I think Alec Pierce is very valued around the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does that look like? Would he sign an extension if presented? Or would he say, you know what, let me bet on it. If I've created deep balls with these quarterbacks, can you imagine what the rest of the NFL is going to think of me?
Right. Now, is that question from a podcast listener or is that from Jamie Moore? Do we know?
Jamie Moore, Air Scout? I don't know. He's like assistant director of college scouting, I believe.
Yeah.
Nice dude, Jamie Moore.
Final question is from Colton. It's week 11, and both Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson are out for the year. And it's a Riley Leonard opportunity, KB. I'm sure you're thrilled about that one, seeing the former Notre Dame quarterback.
Boy, Colton, he's putting on his Notre Dame hat here. Okay, so he has Riley Leonard as the starting quarterback. Interesting.
Uh-huh. Okay. And Riley Leonard starts the last 8 games of the year and throws for 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a 66% completion percentage, and rushes for 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. So that's in total a 19-4 touchdown to interception ratio.
Mm.
If you are Chris Ballard, are you giving him the reins next year?
Is Chris Ballard making that call? Can I go there? If Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson are no longer the answers, does Chris Ballard make that call in 2026?
Good question.
Nothing like answering a question with a question. Isn't it supposed to be a good 2026 quarterback class? Aren't we higher on this upcoming class than last year's?
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
Colton, boy, first off, I just would be dumbfounded by Leonard producing that. Let me start there.
I mean, he completed 66% of his passes at Notre Dame, and prior to that, a career best at Duke in 3 years was 64%.
What I saw in the spring continues to remind me that there's a lot of development needed from the pocket as a thrower. I don't think I'm breaking any news with that, but that was continued to be my thought. I'll remind our audience, I just think the AFC is in a golden age of quarterbacks, and not just they're good, they're also young. I mean,
Yes.
I've gone over the list a million times. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Stroud, Burrow, Herbert, whatever you think Tua has left. Whatever you think, is there a Trevor Lawrence resurrection? Is Cam Ward the real deal?
Drake May.
That's a very good one that's up and coming. So, yeah, even if you laugh at some of those names, you don't laugh at all of them. And it's not like this is 2010 where Peyton, Rivers, Big Ben, and Brady were walking up the 14th, 15th hole.
You forgot about Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, shit. Gosh, that's unbelievable. Thank you. Unfortunately, for the Colts' sake. But yes, you can't do Band-Aids in this conference. And not that, I mean, I don't know, maybe Leonard under that premise wouldn't be a Band-Aid. Maybe he would offer something. It isn't like, if you could, like, there are gifted throwers of the football. If you could just put some gifted throwers of the football onto, like, the Riley Leonard head of his, man, that could be just a dream situation.
If you're from a national perspective and you're looking at the quarterbacks, you probably look at 6 of the teams in the AFC and wonder what their future is at the quarterback position. 3 of them are in the AFC South, in my opinion.
Right. But again, Ward and Lawrence are attempts at it. Obviously, Richardson was an attempt. We'll see how effective he is at it. Yeah, I mean, who's in the most dire? I guess the Raiders are very dire.
They got Geno. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and all they do is make the playoffs. And then I guess the Jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Justin Fields' time.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Eddie Garrison, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm Kevin Bowen. We're signing off maybe next Wednesday-ish. Yeah, let's target that for the podcast action here. Thank you for listening to Colts Corner with myself, Kevin Bowen. Eddie Garrison.